us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Welcome, everybody, to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. This is Ginny Gunther, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I'll be your host tonight, too, along with Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Phone lines are now open at 602-666-6027. That's 602-666-6027.
We'll be taking your phone calls from around the world and right here in the U.S. Welcome, everybody. It's Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com, or as I say, Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. And the operative word is to be alive, aliveness, to be in your joy, to be in your power, to be in your passion, to be calm, to be well, to be whole, to be perfect, to be complete, and to be moving forward as a creator, as a God, as one who is in charge of your realm, your world, and your experience. And it's really super hard to do that if you feel like crud. And that's why we love Dr. Carolyn Dean so much, because she gets the big picture. She understands the importance, the whole being, the entire, the spirit, the mind, the body, all the bodies, however many we have. And she understands that in order to thrive and really do well, you have to have energy, you have to have power. And power comes from minerals, from nutrients, from our food, from our essence of what we bring in, light, power and light. And so Dr. Dean has created the most amazing formula. She's based her whole life's work on providing safe, healthy alternatives for people in order that they may thrive. She's provided the rest of her life's work in a completely and totally different dimension about educating people about the dangers of living on prescription drugs and unnecessary medical treatments. That's not to say that there's not value at certain times and segues in a person's life for some intervention of a medicinal sort, but it's limited and it's only going to be for a specific reason, a very specific time, but not to live on them as we seem to be doing here in the West. And so we're grateful to have her with us this evening. Before I bring her on, and of course she's going to share her manifesto for her overall remedy, her recommendation on how you proceed in this vibrant, healthy aliveness. And also she's going to share great information tonight in her opening statements about how to master these different modalities and use them holistically for your benefit. Before I bring her on, I just want to remind you that not only is she a medical doctor, but she's also a naturopath and an herbalist and an acupuncturist, nutritionist, and intuitive, a lecturer, consultant, author, inventor, a capitalist, and purveyor of common sense. And that's what we love so much about her, is she's got great common sense and very practical solutions, affordable and reasonable for you. So very much welcoming this evening to her own show and to her world. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for being who you are. We love you. Welcome, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Thank you, Ginny. Awesome introduction once again. You have the gift of introduction. You do so well.
Very good. Very good. I'm glad I have something. That's excellent. Excellent. Well, welcome. I know you have so many great things to talk about, and I just love that you typed my manifesto, and it's so perfect. Perfectly sandwiched between the Democratic and Republican ticket nomination for presidency. There's Carolyn waving her manifesto in her hand. I have a manifesto, people. And I think yours is more compelling than anybody else's. So I'm glad to hear about that and everything else you're going to want to talk about tonight.
Thanks, Ginny. Yes, let's leap to that then. It's a short blog. You can find it at drcarolyndean.com. All my blogs are there, and basically I put it out on Saturday before Bob's Payday show. And I'm saying that it's been my lifelong commitment to do what I'm doing, and it's what I want to do. That's why I say my personal lifelong commitment. I'm not doing it to help others, to make others feel less than, to make others feel I know more than you do. It's just I happen to love doing what I do. It generates a lot of information, and I'm just so blessed to be able to have an outlet to rant and say what I feel, my opinion, but also what I've learned over the years. And it really does boil down to, as I spoke about in a very recent blog, the total body meltdown. We're in a mess, just like Trump says, America is in a mess. Our bodies are in a mess. And we really have to, I guess, as the anonymous groups, Alcohol Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, it's what would we say, Illness Anonymous, we have to admit that, we're just not doing as well as we can, but we can get better. And I guess that's what Ginny and I have been saying right from the beginning. What are our words, Ginny? The worst is over. And I really have to draw in a lot of sidebars here because Ginny's blog comes to mind. Magnesium, master nutrient for body and mind. And magnesium is totally awesome, and it's very important, and it's being totally neglected day by day by day. And I don't know, people haven't really accused me of being too much of an ego head the way I talk about magnesium, etc., but maybe they will once I begin saying more and more. You have to do some reading, but please make it reading my books, my blogs, my free ebooks, because I will tell you, people, it is the literature out there is crazy. The health literature, the information that supposedly you can find on the internet, especially these crazy Kindle books where everybody and their 5-year-old are putting out Kindle books about health. Blood pressure book that I just read. I mean, somebody's got about half a dozen books. Blood pressure. We know what causes blood pressure. Your blood vessels go into spasms because the smooth muscles around the blood vessels are deficient in magnesium. They go into spasm. They shut down your the circumference of your blood vessels to a certain extent and cause high blood pressure. And you take magnesium, and as you've heard over and over and over again in on this show and in my blogs, magnesium, for the most part, lowers your blood pressure. And this person in their blood pressure book puts magnesium in under different foods you can eat to get your magnesium. It's not highlighted. It is not even one of the supplements recommended. It's just, okay, eat some more black beans or have some spinach and you'll get your magnesium. And this is just crazy talk. I totally understand the frustration of people trying to get health information these days, and I've talked about this as well till I'm blue in the face, that you really cannot get balanced, common sense health information anymore, especially on the internet, because the superficial the superficial, what am I trying to say, overview that people will give to get out their Kindle book to be able to say that they're an author. Superficial treatment of a topic is just that. They just have not been around long enough to see the lay of the land, and they probably haven't even been clinicians. They're just trying to write a book to do their health consultations or whatever. So we are at a stage where people are getting more interested in health, and they are writing and reading about it, but if they think you can find a dietary solution, it's too late. It's over. The food just doesn't have the nutrients, and I've said that before. So with my manifesto, I'm basically telling you that over the past 4 or 5 decades, I've become convinced that the body mainly needs some basic building blocks. I'm working on those with my Remeg and Remite, the gentle detox and precursor to glutathione that you get with the Realign, and then the RNA drops making healthy, perfect cells, and a yeast-free diet. So it's minerals detox, yeast-free diet. I've been talking about bringing the yeast detox into our shopping cart, but that's been difficult. Usually things just flow when I want to do them, so I've had to really take a good look at this whole yeast killing business, and instead I'm working on intestinal balancing. If the intestines are balanced, then the yeast won't find the home that they find so readily with our antibiotics, high sugar diet, all the things that we know cause yeast overgrowth. So, manifesto, you can read it. I'll refer to it. I think, probably every week I'll just say the first sentence, which is my personal lifelong commitment, is research common sense, practical, efficient, affordable ways of staying well and make these tools available so you can take charge of your own body and your own health. I do not even like the words, I'm here to empower you. It is not my business to empower anybody. It's not my job. When you hear those words, some people think, I'm really helping people, I'm empowering them. That's a less than statement where you're acting like you have all the power and you're going to give a little bit out to people. And actually I came across that when I was learning about Chinese medicine way back, where a Chinese acupuncturist, he didn't do much herbs, but he was a Qigong master, and he would say that, I am going to give you my power, and you're going to be better. And I kind of ran away from that as well. I just didn't like the sound of it, and now I know why. So the manifesto is out there. I can't take it back now. And an email I got that expressed what a lot of people said. Bravo, Carolyn. I agree with all your statements about the manifesto. As a nurse and counselor of 43 years, I have observed all you describe. I have experienced the different modalities of health/disease care and agree that one needs to learn about their own body and study your information, plus the wonderful references, resources that you point to seek further in-depth information. That is what I'm practicing now. Mahalo. So, this person got it. She got the message, and I'm very happy for that. So I'm going to break for a second before I go to my second blog and then to another rant that I want to give to ask Ginny her thoughts on what I just said.
I thought what you said was awesome. I love the idea of you starting out the show with your manifesto every week. I think that's a great idea. And also, I just want to remind, we've got to circle back to the blog because it is talking about magnesium in relationship to potassium, calcium, and vitamin D, and I want you to go over those. So we'll come back to that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. Yes, wonderful.
Okay, so the blog that I want to talk about is Ginny's blog, yes. Ginny's talking about magnesium, master nutrient for body and mind. And what we know about magnesium is it's the most important mineral in the body. It is the gateway to 700, 800 different enzyme processes, which is way above it. The next highest mineral with 200, just under 200 enzyme processes is zinc. So magnesium is really out there. But what Ginny pointed out in her blog today was how magnesium works so well with other minerals like calcium, potassium, and also vitamin D. It raises the blood levels of these minerals. And what you'll find, when you look into, say, potassium and potassium absorption, you'll find if a person is trying to increase their potassium and their magnesium is low, then they just won't get in, I was going to say they won't get anywhere with their potassium, but they'll be hampered in their potassium absorption if they don't have enough magnesium. And this is another reason why medicine is never going to be able to tell us about minerals in a scientific way, because they would want to study each mineral in isolation and tell us what it does. I mean, magnesium is so awesome, and actually an email today through customer service was asking me, the person says, I've been taking 3 teaspoons daily of Remag for about 40 days. I just did a blood test, and it shows no difference from the levels it was at before, which was low. I would think there would be some improvement. Any ideas? Thanks, Mike. Well, of course. Sure, yeah, you'd think, okay, it's going to go up. But what we've seen in clinical settings, there are doctors who give most of their patients Remag, and they follow their blood tests, and they confirm that in the first 3, 4, even 5 months, you will have either the same magnesium levels or even a drop in magnesium. And just think about it. And people are feeling better, and then they look at the blood and say, oh, I'm not better at all. My blood test isn't going up. And what's happening is the body has kind of shut down its magnesium processes because it hasn't had magnesium. So then as you give it magnesium, all those processes start becoming activated and using up your magnesium, and therefore your magnesium levels go down. So it's just standard operating procedure in the body. It's going to grab that magnesium, put it to work, and then demand more. And that's where we have a graduated increase in magnesium so that you can keep up with what the body needs. So great blog that Ginny wrote. You can find it at rnareset.com. You should all be members of the newsletter. We just send it out once a week. We might start sending out some more as we get our Restructure meal replacement protein powder in stock, and when we get our Recalcia. So that's Ginny's newsletter. And let me just go on mute for a second to tell Bob to be quiet in the kitchen.
Carolyn, also one thing that comes up quite a bit, questions that people have, is taking the right amount of calcium, vitamin D, and so if you would go over those too, that would be great.
Right, and I've talked about this a lot in the books and on the radio too, but yeah, it always bears repeating. So with magnesium, we have the incremental increases, the therapeutic doses of 2, 3, and sometimes 4 teaspoons a day, which is the 2 teaspoons is 600 milligrams, 3 teaspoons is 900, and 4 teaspoons is 1,200. Seems like a lot, but when people have been deficient for decades, they often have to build up to that amount. I needed the 4 teaspoons for about a year and a half, even though I've been doing angstrom magnesium for years before. That's why I know Remag is so important. It's 60,000 parts per million. The angstrom, the highest, was 9,000 parts per million. So there's something about getting it in that concentration that gets right into the cells. So that's your magnesium. The calcium, I'm telling people that, when you get to your maintenance dose of 1 to 2 teaspoons of Remag a day, 300 to 600. I'd say the 600 is much more appropriate. Then you want to be balanced with 600 milligrams of calcium. And what's great about calcium is you can get it from your diet. You can, especially if you eat dairy. I mean, a cup of yogurt can have a cup of yogurt can have 350 milligrams of calcium. And I'm not saying to eat 2 cups of yogurt a day, but that and some vegetable broth with potassium and calcium. You can just look at the list, actually, and I think it's in the Remag book about the foods that are high in calcium. And people will find, myself, I'll find if I do take 2 cups of yogurt for 3 days in a row, that I'll need more magnesium. And my tell is that my heart will palpitate when I don't have enough magnesium, which is drawn out by the calcium. Vitamin D, I just do a blanket, 1 to 2,000 units a day rather than the 5, 10, 20, 50,000 units. I do use the Blue Ice Royal myself. I have not checked my vitamin D levels, but a food source of vitamin D is Blue Ice Royal. It's from fermented cod liver oil, and that means it's a food where the processing of the fermentation of the cod liver oil makes it much more absorbable, but they do not have a dosage on it. And, what we know about vitamin D, it's mostly made from sheep lanolin, so it's not a food. It's just, here's the chemical, vitamin D, put it in your body and see what happens. I'd rather do food sources. Is that enough information on dosing, Ginny?
Sorry, Carolyn,
Ginny
my
there?
phone went wacky. Here I am. Sorry, my phone went wacky. Yes, no, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so then what I'll go to next is my second blog of the week, and I love this blog. I get inspired when I was visiting with Ginny to do this blog because we were around a lot of young people. And it's that medications are the new parents. And I don't know, it kind of sounds wacky, but when you read the blog, you'll see that I'm talking about kids who've had trauma, kids who are not eating well, the complete stress at school, peer group pressure, everybody trying to keep up with social media, and parents divorced, both parents working, they're just not around for the kids. They're not going to the baseball games with the kids. They're not feeding them home-cooked meals. They just don't have the time. I'm not necessarily trying to blame anybody. I'm just explaining what's going on. And these kids then in large classrooms where one teacher cannot keep track of 30 active kid, then yes, it does make the teacher's job easier if they're put on ADHD medication, if they're acting out for, due to all the stresses they're undergoing. And, sometimes a pivotal event can happen in a child's life. I mean, when are there not pivotal events? I mean, someone's divorcing, someone's dying, a pet is being hit by a car. All these things happen, and the kids they take it personally. They start developing their fears and their traumas, and those fears and traumas are medicated as well. So what I'm saying in this blog is that if you put children on the minerals, it will give them a balance point. It will be their building blocks, and it will take away their stress and irritability on the physical level so that they can deal with the emotional stress a lot easier. If you're under stress, your body's already tense, and you're freaking out, and your body starts twitching or spasming, then you just have nowhere to go. You just have no outlet. And what was said to me by someone who read the blog, let me just read her email. Your email today about meds being the new parents is so true. When my son was in second grade, both his teacher and the principal strongly suggested meds that year. I quit my job so I could work with him. I bought all the teacher edition books to support his learning. There were 30 kids in the classroom, and I'm sure it was very hard to accommodate. Now, she says, I'm sure very hard to accommodate bullying situations. I guess the teacher would just have no control over kids bullying each other. I put him in karate instead of choosing the drug route, and he's now worked up to, high degree of black belt. He's getting high honors in school the last 3 years. He's in Scouts and getting all his badges, et cetera, et cetera. He's going to be an Eagle Scout. So this is totally awesome, and that's what I'm trying to promote. And I know that this mother's saying that she had to quit her job to do it, but I mean, these are our kids. If you're going to have a kid that's just a sidebar to your job, then that's what's going to happen to them is kind of a sidebar health and sidebar education. So I thought that was a beautiful answer to that blog. And I'll go to Ginny again before I go. I'm going to be talking even more today. Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, no, that was really sweet. Yeah, very nice. And I know you kind of were inspired about that blog from a personal encounter, so it was neat to see that kind of all come together full circle.
Yeah. Yeah, I get just the feeling of a blog coming on often, and I've always said to myself, well, how do I know I'm going to have enough material for the next blog? But, man, it's just everywhere, all this information and all the, like Ginny says, me looking or trying to look at the big picture and just give you some common sense advice.
Well, Carolyn, what I like about your manifesto, the first one, is that you're warning about the chip body's confusing information environment. Nobody says that. Now, you're adding to the information environment, so that means you're saying your information is the only worthwhile information, and
right.
You're confident to say that now.
I'm very confident to say that. If you want to shut down everybody else you're listening to and just listen to my information, you will get what you need. And I can say that because every time I sample, like I said, I downloaded half a dozen Kindle health books, and they're just crap. So it's impossible to get good information, good products, good support. It's just impossible now because there's such competition for it.
Good.
Okay, so on to TIA misdiagnosis is what I call this. I'm talking about transient ischemic attacks. It's where you have, they define it as mini strokes, where little blood vessel in the brain will spasm and shut down blood supply. And of course, you hear the word spasm, you need more magnesium. So this is what happened to an 83-year-old woman who's just totally vibrant. She's a health practitioner, counselor, educator, author. She's awesome. And just look at this scenario, and let's see if we can troubleshoot it here. So she says, having read your blogs religiously, I'm really concerned about taking statins, which may be my fate in the next few days. I was planning to leave today for a conference, but had a TIA Saturday afternoon and ended up in the emergency room. My guess is that a dental visit Thursday with some drilling caused some of this. I had a headache Thursday night and off and on Friday. On Sunday, I was walking on the street and suddenly found myself walking into a wall. Now, TIA Saturday ended up, so she must have been walking Saturday, so I made that note about Sunday. So she was walking Saturday into a wall, walked along the wall with both hands pressed on it for half a block. Then a young man offered to walk me home, and my symptoms more or less disappeared. So she went to the ER, no signs of any abnormality on CAT scan, blood tests, or x-rays. But we'll have to have some more tests, including an MRI. They wanted to keep me overnight for the tests and fill me with statins. I left against their advice. Sunday in the hospital? No way. I'm taking a coated baby aspirin, though my indigestion and reflux is going to be a concern with that. I've been taking RNA, Remag, Remite, Reline for several years now. I recently went down from 1 teaspoon twice a day of Remag to 1/2 teaspoon twice a day. So, I'm not going to say that was the reason, but, maybe part of me would say that would be the reason, but let's look more. I mean, is this even TIA? So she was wondering if I had any thoughts. Of course I did. And this woman is ongoing, a long-time client of mine who's been doing awesome. So I immediately said, I wonder if the dental work and reducing your Remag both contributed. Of course, I'd say to go up to your 2 teaspoons a day of Remag, and yes, take more Reline. Keep hydrated, keep your minerals up are the best ways of keeping your blood thin, along with or instead of the aspirin. And I said I personally would go to nattokinase instead of aspirin. So then she wrote back, thank you, and then she said the EKG was normal, cholesterol is incredibly good, so they aren't going to force the statins on her. She said, I'm glad I left the ER when I did. I said, that's fantastic news. Do you think you were dehydrated that day? I started saying to her, oh, why don't you tell people you were dehydrated and needed more minerals instead of saying that you had a TIA? So she laughed, and then she said in the next email, looks like dentistry was the culprit. I had gone in for cleaning, and behind a gold filling that came out was a lot of decay. The dentist got back to me this morning and told me it was a huge cavity, practically the whole tooth, but because the root seemed dead, she didn't use Novocaine. Nevertheless, an hour of drilling got to me. I had a headache that night and all the next day. So I said, yes, all that drilling can disrupt the tiny hair cells in the ear canal, and I told her arnica would be the homeopathic to take for shock and swelling. And I said, I'm sure you have some. Now, arnica, everybody should get arnica. For any dental work, take some arnica to stop the shock, swelling, and bleeding. The dentist warned her that it was on the left side of the jaw and left head pain. she said the decay had probably infected into the nerve root, and she would have to take antibiotics. So there she was. Now, it's interesting. The dentist didn't give her antibiotics on Thursday, but when she turned up with these symptoms, the dentist think, I should have given her antibiotics, so they're trying to cover themselves. And so I asked my client, do you have silver to take as a preventive or as a natural antibiotic? And she said, my final TIA test will be an MRI tomorrow. Till then, I refusing the statins. Now, here's what's happening next in her scenario. I'm feeling shaken up and a bit heady, but okay. My daughters are accompanying me to the doctors and checking up with me all the time. However, they do want me to get one of those buttons you press if you've had a fall. She asked me if I knew anything about them, and I said I didn't, but I said those buttons are more for the family. I said get the cheapest one. But then I said, look, you know it's from having your head drilled into for an hour and stirring up debris, so it's obvious there would be dizziness. Don't let anyone tell you that you are in decline, or don't let anyone use this as an excuse that you are in any sense declining. And then she wrote back, bless you, Carolyn, for the good news and the good advice. Because, see, that's what's going to happen in the age group that we're dealing with, 60s, 70s, 80s, where if you have an incident, first of all, they're calling it a TIA. It's not a TIA, but it's in her mind that, I had TIA, but nothing shows it in all the tests. So that's where I said right away, call it dehydration, for Pete's sakes. Do not use that word TIA, and then, reassure your family that you'll be fine. And, get the button. Don't fight the button. Just get it to placate your family because, what you want to do is save your energy to get healthy and fight the medical system, not your family. So, Ginny, I know you're going to have something to say about this because it's a huge topic, and I'm sure you dealt with it in your ministry.
You guys catch me. Yep, I'm sorry about that. Say it again. I'm sorry, Carolyn. I missed the last statement.
Poor Ginny, she's dealing with the whole multitasking world. So, yes, this whole business of, an older person has a health challenge, and then they write her off and say, okay, you have to get a medical alert button. You have to move into a retirement home. We can't, the family starts to say, we need help dealing with you. And I'm saying, just hang on. Don't let them write you off so soon.
Oh, yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, it's very stressful for elderly people. First of all, aging is, unless you're ascending, you're aging. Let's just put it that way. And if you are aging, it's very stressful for people. Most people cannot deal with the what's happening to their body. And if you're on the drops, if you're on the formulas, if you've embraced the idea that you don't have to be subject to all of this, and you've cultivated that mindset, then you're in a lot better position. But, young people and family members and stuff come trundling in and try to force that on you. I agree completely, Carolyn. It's the emotional stress of it. It's not the actual physical reality because, as you say, those are very easily solved.
Yeah. So get the medical alert. I know there's a customer of ours, Joan. She's quite an awesome lady. She's in her early 80s, and she writes to us about this all the time. How she had a severe fall, and with the Complement formula, she's really getting her health back, and she just kind of laughs at her family, who are all on drugs and all, in decline themselves, who are trying to tell her what to do. and yeah, that's where our Complement formula folks are at. Okay, I really want to get this last incredible information in here about kidneys no longer failing. So this 69-year-old gentleman said, I thought I would give you an update on my health and my renal failure, which was cured in about 4 weeks with the complete, I think it was just Remeg and Remite he started on. He said, I believe my numbers will continue to improve even more. 69 years old, I weigh 185 pounds. I'm not diabetic, never smoked, I exercise regularly, no history of any kidney problems in the family, but I had been taking protein pump inhibitors since I was 25 years old. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I thought it was for 25 years, but that means he was taking them for 44 years. I suspect the protein pump inhibitors had something to do with it. Yeah, what they do is they diminish your magnesium. I mean, that's an FDA warning. He told his doctor this, and the doctor said, well, all medications have side effects, as if that's normal. And he would keep a close eye on my blood test to see if there's anything they could do. So here's the close eye they kept on it. And this gentleman gave me sets of his blood values showing in 2014 he had fairly okay creatinine and glomerular filtration rate, GFR. And then I think it was like twice a year he's getting his blood tests, and each blood test his GFR and his creatinine would go off another point. And finally, they went abnormal. And it was like, okay, let's watch you get sicker and sicker. No advice, but what he did when he noticed his third test declining in May of 2016, then he did research, found Remag, Remite, started taking them, looks like June 8th, 2016, and I think that was it. And then June 27th, he had his first blood test after the Remag, Remite, and here it was improved. And then he had a second blood test July 20th, and it improved again to he was in the normal range for his kidney test. So what I took from this, because and I've written about this many times about kidneys and how right away the doctor said you can't take magnesium because it'll harm the kidneys. Well, that comes from information when people were given high doses of intravenous magnesium. It overwhelmed their kidneys, and they developed high levels of magnesium in their blood. That's it. That's where it comes from. And now everybody is told that magnesium is dangerous for your kidneys. Don't take it. But look what's happening. The arteries in the body, the coronary arteries in your heart, the carotid arteries in your neck, what do? They build up calcification. They get blocked. You have huge heart operations to remove calcium-clogged arteries from your heart and replace them with arteries, or veins actually, from your legs, for Pete's sakes. That's what's going on. You're calcified, and they rip them out. They can't rip them out of your neck, and I think they poke them with stents and whatever. And the same with the kidney arteries. They are getting blocked with calcium. But the kidney arteries are too hard to get at, and you can't do the surgery there. And instead of calling it kidney artery calcification, they call it kidney disease and kidney failure. And they don't even come close to telling you that magnesium dissolves calcium in tissues where it's not supposed to be. And this is what this 69-year-old gentleman who was told he had renal failure, he cured it in a month, and I certainly told him never use the word renal failure again in my presence. And he dissolved his renal artery calcification and allowed his kidneys to filter and create urine much more efficiently. So isn't that awesome? Are you there, Jenny? Did you follow that huge breakthrough that I just made?
Yes, I am. No, that is awesome. That's totally awesome. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And I just got another email from somebody whose elderly father had just what you said. He had to have his artery in his neck operated on, and of course they botched it. And now he's, practically gone. And same thing, and all that, keeping the arteries supple, keeping the blood flowing, keeping everything limber, keeping everything relaxed, keeping everything active, keeping all those cells energized. Yep.
Yeah, because I've said this one many times, this testimonial. A gentleman says, my wife had open heart surgery 2.5 years ago due mostly to hypertension and obstruction of the coronary arteries. After being on Remag and Remite for several months, her blood pressure has dropped from 180/95 to 110/60. Also, her ejection fraction improved to 60%, and her last ultrasound of her carotid artery shows a 30 to 40% lessening of calcified occlusions. So, yes, that gentleman could have been taking his Remag and Remite and start to melt out that calcification.
I have a testimonial, Carolyn.
What?
I was forced to go to these Kaiser jerks last week. I had to have a medical checkup. Remember that? Because it's by law, you got to do this stupid Kaiser stuff. So the lady was shocked that I was not on medications, the nurse, doctor, whatever she claimed to be, and then she took my blood pressure, and she was shocked that I had perfect blood pressure.
Oh, right.
I had a top billing there, Ginny, but it only shocked her. They don't get perfect people like me anymore.
Yes, but then
I got perfect because of the drops. That's the testimonial part.
Yeah. And the next part of it was, Bob said, "Well, why are you so shocked?" And she said, "Well, I'm on blood pressure medication." She's a skinny little Filipino girl, nurse, and so we made it. Well, Bob especially started telling her, "Well, you better get on Carolyn's Remag so you can get off those drugs."
We healed her. I go in there to help them, and she was flabbergasted at what I could do or what Carolyn did. But she herself was a victim of regular medication. It never occurred to her anymore that you'd be not on medication. So she said she would look into our website, but we had to help them, Ginny.
Well, that's absolutely understood, Bob. I believe it, 100%.
Well, I wouldn't lie to you, Ginny. You don't need to say that. Don't say I would believe it. Of course you're good. That's ridiculous. That's not a good statement.
Ginny, did you see Bob's Facebook page where he
I did.
Wasn't that beautiful? There's this great picture of 20-year-old Austin, I think he's about 20, with Carolyn. And I claimed that was me and Carolyn, me after my 125th generation of RNA drops. And much hilarity proceeded throughout the Internet.
Yes, it was very sweet.
We hope Austin thinks it's a good gag.
Oh, my Lord. Yes, I thought it was very cute, Bob. Very creative. Very creative. Yep. Austin hasn't seen it yet. He's been gone today, but they'll see it later this evening.
Okay, so we only have a few minutes. What would you like to do next, Ginny?
Okay, well, let's run some questions here this morning, and this from the chat line, and then we'll go into phone calls in hour 2. We do have some people that are holding 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call. If you want to talk to Dr. Dean and you have a question or comment, you have to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 will raise your hand and let me know you have something to talk to Dr. Dean about. We put you on the phone with her. Otherwise, your phone line stays muted in the studio and we can't hear you. So let's go to these couple questions we have here, Carolyn. And One of them that came in great through customer service is a really common question, so I want to read it to you. I'm very excited about the success I've had the last 3 weeks taking Realign and Remag. I have taken them exactly how you instruct to do it in your AFib book. I started the sea salt solution a couple weeks prior to that. Last summer, I went to a naturopath who tried to have me take methylated B vitamins, but I don't think she really knew what she was doing. And she certainly didn't know about the salt water, etc. At that time, I felt like I was getting chemo. This time, with your regimen, I'm doing great. I had AFib after a surgery 3 years ago, and since then, I've been having heart palpitations that drive me crazy, especially when I lie down. In the last 3 weeks, they've gotten better. But yesterday, I added the Remite to my regimen, just a quarter teaspoon, and my heart palpitations have become more pronounced. Do you have any ideas on that? Thank you so much for all your expert advice and product.
Right. Yes, things can get stirred up as other enzyme processes are activated. And if that happens, it's probably best to hold off on Remite until you get maybe at your 2.5 teaspoons of Remag. In the occasional person, the iodine and Remite can be too activating, especially if a person is on the verge of too much thyroid hormone, for example. I don't know the whole story. The person may be on thyroid hormones, and what can happen with even just Remag and being on thyroid hormone replacement is your thyroid can get activated, you can get revved up. So all that may fit, but I'm just sort of, I'm speculating because I don't know more of the history, but your customer, Ginny, can get in touch with us and give us more input.
Okay, very good. Yes. I think that happens a lot, and what you said was perfect, that people kind of start to get stirred up. So wonderful information there. All right, let's go to, I've got to scroll through here and see where our little people are. I know Maria had a question, and I know Katie had a question. Let me try to find Maria here. Where did she go? All right, there we go. Hi, Dr. Dean. Any advice on how to get rid of eye floaters? I'm 39. And I've been taking Rebag for about 10 months. I started having eye floaters about 2 months ago, and I only see them when I go outside.
Yeah, I've had them because of my eye, what is it called? What is my eye condition called where I can't see that well?
Blind?
Anyway, yeah, right. No, I'm deaf, not blind. But yes, floaters are pretty darn common, but not so much in someone who's 39, unless I'm just trying to think what the condition is. Astigmatism. Some people who have astigmatism, which is a irregularity of the curvature of the cornea of the eye. There's my medical training coming in. It's like I'm a robot. I hear a word, and there comes a definition that I had to memorize. So that can sort of create an eye floater situation. Some people say that if you have impaired vision and astigmatism, if you get the LASIK surgery, it rounds out the eyeball and can help with floaters, but I'm not going to suggest that. People who drive cars, they don't like the LASIK surgery because sometimes it makes them see halos in oncoming headlights. What I would suggest is just getting the RNA drops, getting a nice little eye cup, putting 1 drop in a half eye cup full of saline, and rinsing the eyes. And see if you can open up the little ducts that help bathe the eyes. The tears, instead of just liquid that bathes the eyes, draining down your face all the time, they're little cisternae, they call them, little openings that drain that liquid back. So I think the RNA drops can help that. They can help remove the debris. A floater is just a little bit of the back wall of your retina breaking free and just floating around. It's not dangerous or anything. There are eye doctors who can actually laser eye floaters. There's a doctor that I've actually seen in California that does this. So yes, Jenny, it's all new information. I mean, this person can email us, and I can give the name of the doctor, etc. So yeah, there are things to do. There always are.
Very good. Very good. All right, Maria, support, SUPPORT at RNAreset.com, and we'll give you the rest of the information through Dr. Dean, via Dr. Dean. All right, now, let's see, 2 minutes to the top of the hour. Let's see if we can answer Katie. Hello, Dr. Dean. I'm 40 years old, a female. I've been taking Remag for about a month. I take a half a tablespoon. I have anxiety, palpitations, etc. I still have not seen any improvement. I wake up with heart racing some nights. Is that due to low magnesium? My naturopath diagnosed me with cytokine-induced sickness. Is this issue related to low magnesium?
Spell that.
Cytokine.
Cytokine-induced sickness. Wow. Cytokines. I've never even heard of it. Isn't this weird? I mean, they're just making it up as they go along.
Right.
Okay, cytokine sickness behavior is the behavior. Sick individuals have little motivation to eat or listless. Pro-inflammatory cytokines acting in the brain cause sickness behavior. So it's an inflammatory reaction. Cytokines are inflammatory, pro-inflammatory products. So it's implied here that there's a lot of cytokines. They're irritating the brain and causing this behavior. Very interesting. Well, magnesium is the best anti-inflammatory, but it sounds like, Katie, there's a lot going on, and if you were just sort of using the Remag to treat the anxiety and the heart racing, let's look at all the complement formulas instead of just the Remag.
Okay, Katie, hang in there. We'll be back at the top of the hour. Hour 2 coming up, everybody.
You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
You're talking about convergence, harmonics, application, creation through sightedness, through non-sightedness rods and cones, and how it affects the thalamus and the thalamus. They're two different things, apparently, and how it affects the adrenals within the lipids, and how it changes the cells from a frequency to make it more metallic, if that's the better way to say it. But yet you have iron poor blood, and that's why you have to take geritol, and you need lysine to make an amino acid. And the amino acid, then you need some protein, and you got to change it through your lipids, and then all of a sudden the fat that you got to get rid of is good, and then the sugar that you said was bad is good, and then the corn liquor's got sugar in it, and it's good, that they say is bad, which is good, and then the next thing you know, your liver starts eating sugar, and then it gets super sugar, and then it kind of changes, and then your whole gut changes, and then you grow back the damn gallbladder that they took out of Momo, and here she is laying in the stone cold grave growing a new gallbladder. It's pretty amazing as you kind of go. And then they'll start. And then on that resurrection morning, when all the dead in Christ shall rise, you'll have a new body. You'll have a new life. Souls all bursting, graves are shouting, ready to live in paradise. You'll have a new body. It's pretty good. And it's already started. It's happening.
Now listen to that. Iron finally gave the chain reaction of ascension, the chemical chain process of ascension.
AchieveRadio.com.
We return now live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with with your host, Ginny Gunther, here on AchieveRadio.com. Skype is at ar.call.in. That's ar.call.in.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, for listening, downloading the archive, and being part of the movement, the real movement, the thing that must really happen for everyone here in the United States and around the world is to get and stay healthy in spite of the environmental challenges and everything else that we have going on here. We are continuing and determined to thrive. So we thank Dr. Carolyn Dean for her wisdom, her insight, her leadership, and her ability to cut right through to what is at the heart of the problem, which is the cells of the body. And what's at the heart of the cells is magnesium, minerals, and other essential nutrients that are required to create perfect cells, including the RNA drops. And when you use those in proper combination, consistently, line upon line, precept upon precept, as Ion would say, then you get yourself into a position where your body can withstand in the evil day, as it says in the Bible. Don't know why I'm quoting all that, Carolyn, but that's what it does say. So before we get to, I just want to make sure we finish properly with Katie, because you were right in the middle of saying something about her anxiety palpitations. And she said half a tablespoon, which I questioned, because I don't know if that meant half a teaspoon.
Right. Yeah, good point. Yeah, the tablespoon, what is it, 3 teaspoons to a tablespoon? So that would be a teaspoon and a half, which really is not a therapeutic amount either. But, we'd have to know, Katie, if you're taking your sea salt and water, if you're kind of working up to it, as one of our previous people said that they did it step by step, and that's what worked. And we know this protocol works if when a person tells us they're on therapeutic amounts of Remag and their sea salt and they still don't feel like they're getting better, then we say, get on the Remag, get on the Reline, get on the RNA drops, look at the whole protocol. Because if a person's symptoms are just magnesium deficiency, okay, fine, the Remag will take care of it. If it's not just magnesium deficiency, then you add other things. We're not saying Remag is a drug that will treat everything and suppress everything. It will do that if the condition is due to magnesium deficiency. And I know that sounds like circular thinking, but we can't look at magnesium as a drug, and we have to look at a person's whole life history of why they got to where they are, and just say, look, the worst is over. You just start doing the formulas, listen to the archives, and you will feel better and you will get better.
Yes, and I think that's a perfect point, Carolyn, this whole business about is your situation rooted, is its foundation magnesium deficiency? And you were pointing that out to me about, say, anxiety. Is the anxiety a result of the heart palpitation that's a result of the AFib, that's a result of magnesium deficiency and years and years and years of not supplementing, not having that as part of your food, not knowing that it's a valuable part of your daily, and then it kind of builds versus, some other kind of thing, right? Right, and we're here to search it out with you, but we start in a certain place, and we don't go to the next step until we're sure, you're drinking enough water, you're on the sea salt, you're taking enough Remag, and you can do it step by step that way, or in the guidelines that Ginny's been sending out, the guidelines for the completement formulas, it's laid out. Okay, start with
the sea salt and water while you're waiting for your products to come. And when they get that to you, you're already hydrated. You're already ready for the minerals to pull the water into the cells. It is, like Ginny said, it's about cellular nutrition. And if your cells aren't saturated with the proper minerals, including the sodium from the sea salt, then they're not going to perform efficiently. And if you're looking at doing all 4 complement formulas, the next thing you add is the Realign to get your cells cleaned out, to remove the trash, as Ion suggested it does. And then you add your Remag and you add your Remite, and then a couple of weeks later you're adding your RNA drops. So you can do it many different ways because, we kind of do this outreach. We do tend to attract people who have complex conditions and sensitivities. So, we try to be very careful about going step by step, but for all the people who contact customer service and use our information resources, there are thousands of other people who just take the products and they just a year or so later we'll get an email and the person will say, I've been on your products for a couple of years and here's what happened. I mean, a 71-year-old says, I can't tell you how much you've helped me to keep my 71-year-old body healthy with your formulas and advice. I'm spreading the word. So this is actually the not the justification, but this is the culmination of a person taking up something, the fact that it's still working a year or so later. What's the word I'm looking for, Bob or Ginny? This is our research. This is a study that we're doing where it's not people who take something, it'll have a placebo effect for the first bottle, and then the second bottle they take it, they don't feel anything. And the internet is rife with testimonials of people who are taking a very hyped product and they're just all agog that they're feeling so much better, but then you get back to them a year or 2 years later, and are they still on that product? Do they still continue to feel better? Do they improve month by month, as we hear from our people? So that's what we love hearing from folks who've never called customer service, never emailed me. They write and say, thank you, thanks for the exceptional couple of years that you added to my life. So anyway.
Is the word validation?
I guess validation.
Well, you're saying clinical proof?
Yeah, it's a validation of that our products work. Yes, that's the right word, validation, where someone who's taking them for a couple of years and continues to take them because they continue to feel better. And some people may say, well, I ran out of my whatever, Remag, Remite, RNA drops, Realign, and, I didn't feel as good. So then it means, okay, then they're helping me. I'm going to continue taking them. Okay, Ginny, over to you. I'm on a ranting mood today.
Hey, what's interesting, Carolyn, with these products that work, put you in a new position of seeing human nature. You've never seen how stubborn people are, how self-suicidal they are as a result of having a successful product to put out there. That's changed your view of humanity by having so much success.
Right.
Because a lot of people still shoot themselves in their foot. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Yeah, and you can't change that. And, I think that's part of my manifesto where I just say I'm doing it, what I'm doing because I like to do it. I mean, when I was in private practice, I I get the sense, very quickly from some of my patients that they would just book in every week to see me, and they'd,
just to be with you.
Just to be with me, to get information. And I put a stop to it. I said, look, you can come in once a month. You get a notebook and bring a pen, and you write the notes of what I say, and you're not allowed to ask that same question again. And we can't really do that on the show because there are new people coming all the time, and they'll ask the same question that someone asked last week, but they haven't heard the answer. But I want people to learn and grow and not depend on me, not depend on Ginny or customer service. I want them to know that they're empowering themselves, not just getting answers from us. Because you see, if you get your answers from someone else, then you have someone else to blame if it doesn't work. And I'm not going to take the blame for what a person is not doing. I can't go on a diet for you. I can't take your remedies for you. There's certain very basic things that you have to do with the complete formulas. You have to buy them and you have to take them, and that's it. And if there are questions that come up, usually they're answered in our FAQs on RNAreset.com or in all the blogs. I mean, I've told people many times, Google your question and my name, and it's oftentimes it's been written, and it's great because people will email customer service or email me, and I tried to find the answer to this and it didn't come up. Do you mind answering it? And it's like, great, you did your part. You do your homework, and I'll continue to do mine.
Hey, Carolyn, another thing we've learned from having such great products is the myth of science saying that they're going to come up with a cure for something. Uh-huh. The human nature factor, you make a cure, people are going to start suing you within a few years anyways because they got to have some negativity in their life, so they'll take what you do. It helps for a while, and then they'll have to flip it into a bad scene. That's a very profound thing that is not discussed about the scientific search for products, for good stuff and for miracle cures. Human nature will screw any product that'll come along eventually. That's why we're going to make even better products.
Well, yeah, medicine may know that. I mean, maybe that's why they're continually making more and more drugs. They'll just give it a snappier name or, claim that it does better than the last one. I think medicine realizes that people will not just stick with one drug. They
know they need new names, new brands, just like they need new music, new movies, new TV shows.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, back to you, Ginny.
Yes, well, the medicine may pander to the part of the human being that wants to always mix it up and have the contrast. But one thing that our formulas do in combination with Carolyn's education manifesto is that you've got to take responsibility for yourself. And this is the thing that we, say over and over, as Carolyn just said. Well, when you do that, then you've got one finger pointing out and three fingers pointing back. So when something's not working, we always have to go back to the consumer and say, okay, let's start at the top with the protocol. How are you using it? And people are like, what protocol? Okay. So, people taking responsibility, I mean, there are very few institutions or individuals that call people into accountability for how they use their products. And we do, and that's what makes the show unique. That's what makes our products unique. And that's same with our customer service. So it's a very interesting dynamic, but fortunately, Carolyn's very good at, leading it all and generating the kind of educational material that people can really sink their teeth into and take responsibility for, because once you know, it's easy.
Oh yeah, and when people hear, okay, there's a protocol. They'll follow it. But I'm probably guilty of, I never follow instructions. When I buy something and I have to put it together, I will never look at the instructions. I'll just figure it out myself. So, yeah, people probably don't read our guidelines that come with their packages, but or even read the label. So that's just part of human nature.
Right, and in our marriage, you never followed the instructions.
Thank goodness. And look how well it worked out.
That's true.
Very good. All right, let's keep pressing on. Okay, let's see. Let's go to Pat's question, Carolyn, and then we'll go to the phone. Again, 602-666-6027. 602-666-6027 is the number to call. If you have a question or comment for Dr. Dean, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. That will put you in the queue in the studio, and we'll call on you in the order that the calls come in. Okay, now let's just ask this question on behalf of Pat. Pat says, is it too late for me? Is it too late since I've been on the Remite for 6 months to start Realign? Also, or can I still benefit from it for my AFib? I'm in much better shape, but I'm still having episodes and more frequent but lasting less time. And now that I've listened to what Dr. Dean told the last caller about cutting back on Remite, maybe the iodine is stirring things up for me also, because I do feel better. So I can't understand why I'm still getting episodes, thinking maybe my thyroid is stirred up too much for me. Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, that's a great bunch of questions, and it's important. It's never too late to start the Realign. You know, we didn't mean to imply that. And the RNA drops could be helpful, too, because AFib can tend to be kind of related to worry and stress, and the Realign does tend to chill people out. It would be good, Pat, if you read the AFib book, over and over again. Read CB's testimony. She had, a bit of up and down, but stuck with it. And I think it took a full year for her to really, truly say that she was cured. But all along the way, she did feel better, like you're saying. What you do about the iodine and the thyroid business is you didn't say whether or not you were on thyroid medication. I think you would if you were. I would get your thyroid tested and then see if your thyroid hormones are elevated. With the Remite, when you get that test done, if you have elevated thyroid hormones, look at thyroid antibodies. Remite does have iodine, but it's only the very low RDA. It's not any high dose. But what Remag and Remite do is activate your own thyroid. I don't know what else to say here. I think probably, Pat, you'd have to take the Realign, take the RNA drops, maybe cut back by half a teaspoon on your Remite, get your thyroid hormone levels and the TSH, maybe even your thyroid antibody levels tested. So there's a start for you.
Excellent. All right, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Again, 602-666-6027 is the number to call into the studio if you have a question or comment. Let's go to the great state of Florida, area code 772. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, it's Linda. And Carolyn, okay. I have a question for you.
Is this a Linda that I know?
Yes, this is the Linda that you know, and I'm
okay.
So glad to be talking to you because I had quite a terrible incident on Friday night. I've been taking your wonderful stuff for a long time and feeling great. And Friday night I had the terrible pain under my breast, and it was a scary pain, and it lasted for 25 minutes, and I ended up in the emergency room, and they ended up doing all these tests once they have you there, like you're captive in the hospital, and the blood enzyme tests and sonograms and EKGs, and they didn't find anything. And so they wanted to keep me, and by then my blood pressure was like 200 over 100, and I said, no, I'm getting out of here. I'm going home. I live in Florida. I'm actually up in New York right now, which is where I ended up at the hospital, and they were very unhappy and told me that if I left, I was probably going to drop dead of a heart attack.
Oh, poor other. Even though none of the tests were active, they didn't realize they were causing the high blood pressure.
Yes. So I don't know what caused the terrible pain under my chest. I've been looking at hiatal hernias and at renal fatigue and all these other things, and I really could use some advice. What's interesting is I usually take 2 teaspoons of Remag and a teaspoon and a half of Remite along with my thyroid medicine. And when I got home from the hospital, I literally guzzled down 2 more teaspoons of Remag, which I thought would for sure affect my bowels, and it didn't. The next day, I took another 3 teaspoons of Remag, and still nothing. So I'm just wondering if all that stress just dropped my magnesium level so low, but it doesn't account for the pain that started it all. So I don't know.
Okay, so let's look into the pain. Under what breast?
It was under both. Under both. It was a pain that went right across below both of my breasts.
Well, I can see where you'd be looking at hiatus hernia or diaphragm spasm or something like that. Have you been doing sit-ups recently?
No. I did, though, the day before that. I took my 4 grandchildren in 90-degree heat and tromped around an amusement park all day. And I'm wondering if that might have had something to do with what happened. I'm hoping it's not my heart because, Well,
it's not your heart, Linda. It's not your heart. They proved it wasn't your heart. If it was your heart, you would have been strapped down and having stents and who knows what. Seriously, it's not your heart. So, try to get that out of your mind. But, okay, there you have it. 90-degree heat, you're sweating. Were you lifting the grandkids?
I lifted the youngest one, who's 3 at one point, but it was just for a brief period of time.
Were you eating the junk food?
I had a piece of pizza. That's all I had all day was the piece of pizza till like 8 o'clock on Thursday night, and then Friday night at 5 o'clock is when it all,
Right. Yeah, when you have an event the day before, which is out of normal, and eating, oily junk food, and when you have 4 grandkids, that's got to be a lot of stress. And like you said, having all those teaspoons of Remag after, and it didn't even cause a laxative effect, it meant your body needed it. So, basically I'd put it down to a diaphragm spasm that was caused by the previous day's events.
So you don't think it's my heart? Because they want me to go see a cardiologist, they want me to have a stress test, and I know where this is all going, and Well, when they do an EKG and they do blood enzymes and sonograms and nothing shows up, I don't, they're just covering their asses to make sure it's nothing else. It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do from here.
One of the factors we learned from mine is that could have been a major shift in the chemistry of her body, positive shift, based on all the stuff she's been doing. These spasm things can be a good thing.
Yeah. But it's pretty darn stressful.
Yeah, but if you start thinking about it, and especially if you go to the hospital, that's stupid. Do not go.
No, Bob, don't say that.
Yeah, so she gets this spasm, then she takes the magnesium, nothing happens, they don't find anything. Look at it as a positive shift in your body chemistry. You had a major healing progression there. Look at it that way. It's positive.
I would love to, because I wasn't about to stay there any longer and become a guinea pig for any more tests. So I just, like I said, my doctor in Florida said, you should probably have a stress test and all this, but the whole thing with the magnesium really made me wonder what the heck was going on. And I've been up here for like 3 weeks, and I haven't been doing the salt for my adrenal glands, which I usually do with my Remag. So do you think that's probably what was part of the problem?
I would think so, because when you sweat, you start sweating out sodium first. So you're not doing your salt and you're sweating it out. So yeah, it just threw you off a bit, and there must have been something either with the pizza or lifting the children or just being, what people do when they're under stress, they breathe high up in their chest, and then that means the diaphragm can go into a bit of spasm. So I don't know how much more I can say. I'm just saying they proved that you didn't have a heart condition. You had blood pressure, but that was, from all the stress, and you got home, and it's probably, much improved now. But, just take what I said and think about it, and even think about what Bob said, and just make your decision. Do I have a heart problem or not? If I don't think I have a heart problem, then I won't allow myself to be treated as a heart patient. If you want to get some testing just to kind of reassure, yourself or your family, that's fine. Most of the testing is non-invasive, but once they start going invasive, you really have to decide, what are they going to find on an invasive test that's going to change my behavior? Am I going to take their drugs? No. Am I, just look at it from that pro and con viewpoint. Okay, Linda?
Okay. All right. Do you have an email that, do you do consults anymore, or?
Well, for former clients, I still do. So, but you can I will do that, Linda. And it's the old emails you had on me, or just through the support at rnareset.com. Just tell them, send this email to Dr. Dean, please.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Carolyn. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Linda. Good to hear from you. I'm glad you thought to call through.
Yes, thank you. I needed to hear what you had to say, because it just reaffirms what I've been thinking, and I'm not about to get caught up in that whole medical nightmare.
Okay, my dear. Good to hear from you. Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, very good. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Achieve Radio. Let's go to area code 484. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, Judy. Hello, Doctor. Hi, Bob. This is Casey from Allentown.
Okay, Casey, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, Doctor. I met one of my friends after a long time yesterday, and she was telling me that she recently had, she did before, but now she had a stent. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, in her artery.
Stent, S-T-E-N-T, stent?
Yeah, stent. And this time they put it like 3 or 4, and totally she has altogether 15 so far. And when she told me, it shocked me, and she said that as per paper, our EKG is right, everything is good, and I realized that after listening to all your shows, it sounds like something like the magnesium-calcium combination, the lack of magnesium. So I told her I don't want to say anything to her, because unless and until she realized that, I don't want to say anything. So I called her to listen to your show. Unfortunately, it was too late. So so next week she's going to be here. But I'm curious that if everything is okay, like the last caller said, if the EKG, everything is okay, why she's getting that blockage? Maybe the calcification because of magnesium combination is not right?
Calcification, the next tests that they do are dye tests to see if there is calcification built up in the arteries, and then based on the calcification they'll put the stents in and give more drugs. But someone like Linda, who's been on Remag and Remite for years, she's not going to have calcification, I don't think. But that's what they go on, and calcification is a big deal in medicine, but they don't have anything to treat it with except surgery. And as you heard earlier, Casey, I'm saying that, kidney arteries, they talk about kidney failure because of kidney artery calcification, and we just have to keep taking our Remag to dissolve that calcification.
Yeah, so,
and Casey, your friend can listen to the archive as well,
Yes, doctor, I agree with you because it took so many months for me to convince my own wife. So I gave her the link and I told her, and if she really want to listen to something, because she was a little bit scared, looks like his doctor, when she asked his doctor, like how many stents she can put it, and he said so far he has seen 17 in one of the patients. Yeah,
wow.
But that I feel like anything, if you put it in your body might treat that one as an alien object. So I got a little bit scared when she told me, and I told her, I gave her all your link, everything. If she's really going to read all those things, then definitely she'll come on your show. I called you just to get some information from you. It sounds very scary to me. But thank you, doctor. Thank you for giving me 3 minutes. Thank you.
Very good, Casey, and you're such a sweet man to be thinking of your friend. And yes, something like taking the Remag is just like taking good food with good minerals, so that the minerals do what they're supposed to do, which is balance out and dissolve the calcium. And what's great about magnesium and Remag is you can take it even if you're on medications, even if you've had stents. It's just like taking good food. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, doctor. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Casey. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Bob.
Bye, Casey. Thank you, Casey.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, and another good point, Carolyn, is you can use our formulas right along with other medical protocols. It's not going to be contradictory in any way. And it's essential for the body. So no matter what you're doing, whatever occurs, you stick with your formulas and keep working your process. Okay, very good. Let's go out to our good friend Kendall, area code 267. You're on the line, Kendall. Dr. Dean's waiting to talk to you.
Hey, I got a question real quick, guys. I wanted to know about ISOT. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. I know, Dr. Dean, you always say Google your name and then Google whatever it is that I'm trying to learn. Well, so I did that and nothing came up.
Spell it for me, hon. Spell it for me.
IASOT is for weight loss. And
IASOT. It's IASOT for weight loss. IASOT for weight loss.
But not T like the letter. T like sipping tea.
Oh, TEA. Oh.
Yes.
IASOTEA. ISOT. Okay, let's see. You're trying to lose weight there, Kendall?
Yeah, Dr. Dean, I got to really do something because I don't know whether it's fibroid. Remember, we still got to go to the testing for these fibroids, but I know that the doctor was saying, I got my endometrial my
biopsy.
And it said I don't have cancer. There's nothing. None of the cells showed as normal. But I know they're going to want to do something because they said I can't keep bleeding like this. It can turn into cancer. So I got to do. I'm trying to lose some of this weight, and I'm like 250. I shouldn't be this big. But
right.
So I said, well, maybe
Well,
I'll try.
Yeah, you know what it is, though. When someone is under as much anxiety and stress as you used to be, what the body does is it holds on to everything. It will not let anything go. It'll hold on to every bit of food you eat, every bit of fat, and it won't let it go because it's under so much attack and stress that it's trying to save up all your fat in case you go into starvation mode, because the body just looks at major stress as I'm either going to eat or I'm not going to eat. So they look at stress as you're going to starve tomorrow. And so you hold on to the weight. It's just the way the body is. So I understand why the weight just won't let go, but knowing that, you just start saying to yourself, I'm not under so much stress. My body can handle stress. The magnesium is helping me with the stress. I can let go of this weight. And I found the Iaso tea ingredients: holy thistle, blessed thistle, persimmon leaves, malva leaves, marshmallow, papaya, ginger, chamomile, and myrrh. They're all fine. If you want to take that, they look fine to me. Okay?
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. And just, just a little bit of attitude shift in terms of I can let this weight go, because you know what you're thinking in your mind is, I've got this weight. I don't know why I've got this weight. It just won't leave me, and it's all about the weight. So you just say to yourself, okay, I had the weight. It was protecting me. I don't need it anymore. Goodbye. Okay?
Okay.
So you can lose, try to lose 3 pounds a week, and then you call us in a few weeks and tell us that you've lost 3 pounds a week, okay? And you can do it with the tea or without the tea. You can do it just, cutting back a little bit on your meals. You can do it by, when you feel a bit hungry, just drinking your water and just avoid snacking, all the basic things that in your mind you can do.
Okay. I just wanted to run those ingredients by you to make sure none of them cause complications.
Yeah, no, they're all very gentle. And it's not like a big laxative tea, nothing like that. It looks very good, actually. Okay, hon?
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome. So Kendall had her 3 minutes. Good for you, girl.
Very good. Excellent. All right, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks, callers, for being part of the show. If you do have a question or comment for Dr. Dean, want to call in, 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call in. And you have to hit star 5 on the keypad. Star 5 will raise your hand in the studio and let us know that you have something that you want to share or say. All right, now let's see. Carolyn, we don't have any calls right now, so let's see where we're going with everything. Do you have a couple email bags you want to do, mailbag things?
Of course I do. Of course. This gentleman, he emailed me on Facebook and whatnot, and he said, I just wanted to give a not-so-delicate testimonial on Remag and Remite. I've noticed that my bowel movements are more eliminating. What he means is he completely empties, and what he says is he only has to wipe once. That's what he's talking about, being delicate. Plus, his stools are softer, but formed. Not sure if you ever get a testimonial like this, but I have 2 to 3 bowel movements daily, and this is a plus. More efficiency is always a plus. So that was neat, because we know this is not a laxative product, but what it does is make your bowels work better in terms of the peristaltic action of the muscles. The muscles are no longer tight or in spasm. They just do their job very gently and softly. This person wrote through customer service, I'm one of the very desperate folks who was unfortunately prescribed a benzodiazepine for sleep without being told of the risks of this class of medication. I'm desperately trying now for the 3rd time to come off it. I'm also on Remeron. Now, Remeron's an antidepressant to try to mitigate some of the symptoms of the benzo withdrawal, which for me is constant anxiety, nausea, and insomnia. the Remeron is helping with all but the nausea right now. I read the Magnesium Miracle, bought Remag, and I was taking 1 ml. Now, if she's in the ml stage, I don't know if that means she's got a dropper. That's years ago. 1 ml, gosh, that's a quarter teaspoon, less than a quarter teaspoon, in a glass of water daily for a few days. I'm afraid to take more, but don't know if this small amount makes any difference. Some websites say to avoid magnesium while in benzo withdrawal. Others say it helps. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. There are too many people out there like me that the medical community really has no idea of what to tell us to help us. Now, yeah, I really have some comments here because this is another thing that drives me crazy, these just endless forums of people who give out information just willy-nilly. Magnesium is good, which is right. Magnesium is bad, which is wrong. So, you get someone dominating a forum who's had a bad reaction to magnesium and just, blasts that out onto everybody else and makes them afraid of magnesium. And I've tried to mitigate some of that negative information with my When Magnesium Makes Me Worse, because I made that title because, people will just, they hear on a forum, oh, magnesium is bad, and they'll say, is magnesium bad, or magnesium makes me worse, and hopefully they'll read my list of 14 reasons why you can get stirred up with magnesium. And certainly if you're in benzo withdrawal, you need to be saturated with magnesium. And, this person is only taking a quarter teaspoon of magnesium. It is 75 milligrams. It will do a tiny bit, but, they need to be up at the 2, 3, even 3.5 teaspoon mark because they're on another drug, the Remeron, which is going to steal more magnesium. But I think people who are going through drug withdrawal or trying to wean off their drugs, they probably need the whole complement formula, get their Realign in there, get the Remite and do the sea salt to support their adrenal glands and their thyroid, because all those areas become issues. It is a total body meltdown stage when you've been on an addictive drug for a long time and just trying to get off it. You have anxiety, nausea, and insomnia. It's just horrible. So, yes, more magnesium, get on the whole protocol, and, just get healthy. Question about magnesium and the thyroid. So this is more about the thyroid. Let's see what this is. Woman is saying, I don't remember when I started the Remag, but I'm pretty sure I'm on my 8th bottle. I get up to 5 teaspoons a day and then started having loose stools, so I backed off. I would also say to her, I hope you're on your Remite and your sea salt. I've been staying at 3 teaspoons a day now, and that's working. When I had my RBC blood taken March 23rd, 2016, my result was 5.0. Now I like 6 to 6.5. And she said this was after taking Remag for about 2 months. So yeah, it can take 6-8 months for the magnesium levels to start improving, but the body is already improving. I was diagnosed with hyperthyroid Hashimoto's thyroiditis, November 2015. I'm on 5 milligrams of methimazole. Now, what is that? I didn't look that up, but it can only take a minute to look at the chemical formula. Oh yeah, polythyrouracil. It's not a fluoride drug. It is a drug used to treat hyperthyroidism specifically. Okay, so she's still on a drug for it. So, maybe the Remite that I said she should be taking Remite with hyperthyroidism, and the iodine in the Remite, she'd have to probably take a low dose, and also know that the Remite can still work with hyperthyroid because the Remite has the selenium that helps break down the products that iodine helps make. Okay, so then she says, I'm doing this step by step, I know, but then she says, I just recently had thyroid blood work done, and the thyroid levels are still high, but they are coming down. Everything else looks good, except I had high alkaline phosphatase, and it was just, a few points above normal. I've never had issues with my liver until the hyperthyroid issue. I'll continue with the Remag, wondering what else Dr. Dean would suggest. Would love to get off the polythiuracil. Okay, is that what the propylthiouracil? I knew I was saying it wrong. Okay. So I said to her, I did email her, it's great your numbers are on the decline, thyroid numbers. I usually say that if the Remag hasn't done all that you want, it's time to add the other minerals and do some detox. And, yeah, the thing is the Remite is going to help balance out the minerals, but the Realign is the primo product for supporting liver detoxification. It'll help get her alk phos down. I said you could also work with RNA drops to help make healthy cells as your thyroid is settling down. What I would like to see is the thyroid healing itself from the inflammation of thyroiditis and not swinging to hypothyroidism. See, that's what happens. Usually you don't get people in the middle of their Hashimoto's hyperthyroid. They'll get their thyroid inflammation, which is Hashimoto's, and burn out their thyroid and then end up hypothyroid. So hopefully this person being on the complement formulas will just go to a balanced thyroid and it won't go hypo. Of course, the drops kind of burn out the thyroid too, and kind of rightly so, because I don't really know a good natural treatment for hyperthyroidism. There are some herbs, there are some things that you can use, but I'd rather not do that, on a shopping cart website or, on a radio show, because when people go really hyperthyroid, you can have a lot of diarrhea, you can have tachycardia, you can get heart palpitations. So it's not something I'd like to deal with over the internet. And someone wrote about my Total Body Meltdown blog. They said, I agree with all that you have to say. You're doing a unique form of research by being in touch with many people who, as it turns out, have very similar symptoms. And she said, my unique history is a ruptured duodenal ulcer, emergency repair, massive amount of antibiotics for Helicobacter pylori, leaky gut, hypothyroidism, adrenal exhaustion, burping, yeast overgrowth, constipation. I'm 59 years old, a health professional, and I'm your captive audience, and everything you have said below is true for me and my health. I'm continuing all the formulas and RNA drops. I started March 2016. I'm noticing many of my symptoms reducing and feeling the bliss of the RNA drops. I'm on the recovery journey and will continue to improve ongoing. Awesome. Fabulous. I will ask Ginny if she has anything to add, if I'll just keep going with the mailbag, or if we'll chat for a bit about anything she'd like to chat about.
Well, I love that last person's testimonial, and I think that was so wonderful that one thing she could do was just acknowledge that, I've got all these symptoms, And I've been, working at this for a long time, and since March, so what time is that? A couple months ago, and she's seeing this gradual improvement, and she's sticking with it, and she's excited, and she's happy and ready for more. And that's like, she gets a gold star customer, because that's where we're, that's the most wonderful person, is somebody who can acknowledge, geez, I got a little bit of everything. I'm hoping for all of it to be, handled. And in the meantime, I'm just kind of noticing the bliss of the drops, which was fantastic, in the midst of all those challenges, Carolyn.
Right. Yeah, it's what I was mentioning earlier. Actually, we don't hear from people until they often get triggered by a blog. It's like, the total body meltdown really hit her. She probably sees herself in that picture, and she's happy to be on a protocol that already is addressing her symptoms. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, very exciting, very exciting. Excellent, excellent. All right, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, 602-666-6027 if you want to talk to Dr. Dean. You've got to hit *5 to raise your hand. *5 on your keypad will raise your hand here in the studio and let me know you have a question or comment, and then I will put you on the line with Dr. Dean. I always want to make that offer very clear, because we get all these new callers. I see all these new phone numbers I don't recognize, so I know they're new callers. And then sometimes after the show they say, how come you never called me? It's like, well, you got to hit *5 on your keypad. Okay, excellent. So, all right, let's keep going, Carolyn. Nobody wants to talk to you right this second. Silly them.
Very good. Actually, you just emailed me this customer service question, and I thought I'd answered it, but maybe I just answered it for the show. It's a medical clinic referred someone to our customer service, and this gentleman, I don't know if I have his age here, it might come up. He's been a patient at this clinic for about 15 years. His history: in 2007, contracted a sinus infection, cold, sore throat, which I'd occasionally contracted in earlier years. This time, shortness of breath, trying to sleep or when lying down. Got an antibiotic. After a few days, I was on the mend. The shortness of breath was something new. Did not seek special treatment. July 2010, so 3 years later, same symptoms. Shortness of breath for 2 or 3 evenings, eventually dropped off to sleep, propped up, wondered about a touch of pneumonia, visited a walk-in clinic, chest x-ray, fluid on the lungs, 3 days in hospital, captivity, like Linda said. Learned I had irregular heartbeat, diagnosis atrial fibrillation. I was 65 the summer of 2010. Met a cardiologist who prescribed warfarin and diltiazem, and released with no restrictions. Now, diltiazem, that an antiarrhythmic. Let me just plug that into the magic. Okay, no fluoride molecules, a calcium channel blocker, of course. So I started writing. Sinus infections, antibiotics often lead to yeast overgrowth. So that's where a yeast-free diet can be important, avoiding sugar, gluten, dairy. Yeast toxins can use up magnesium. Magnesium deficiency is a major trigger for AFib. I said I'd have customer support attach an AFib book. Then that was July 2010. Now he's talking about July 2013. Annual inspection with cardiologist, noted the heart murmur, had an echocardiogram, discovered very mild mitral valve leakage, but no different treatment advised. So I say mitral valve can be magnesium deficiency, as the muscular valve flops closed instead of closing properly. Magnesium makes the muscles work properly. The fact that they didn't see this mitral valve prolapse before this implies it wasn't a damaged valve from earlier, but newly developed, which is more magnesium deficiency symptoms. Okay, mid-2016. So it's interesting, 3-year intervals. March 2016, noted shortness of breath when lying down. Next evening, same thing, went to cardiologist, had an echo, heart cath, ejection fraction is 25 to 30, normal is around 60, and a badly leaking mitral valve. An enlargement of one side of the heart, they added Lasix, surgery recommended, coronary arteries in good shape with minimal calcium. Again, not enough, and I said, again, not enough magnesium to make the heart muscle work properly, deficiency of other minerals that strengthens the muscles, like copper, zinc, and manganese. I said I'd send my Remag and Remite book. Past 4 months, he said I went on a discovery and education mission. Should have been more curious 6 years ago. And he's walking, and I said with heavy, doing a lot of exercise, walking 25 miles a week. So I said heavy exercise sweats out magnesium. So then he said more research, and then his doctor recommended he look at magnesium. Or a month ago, ordered Remag, Remite, Realign. Did a magnesium RBC test. It was 5.4. So then he's asking me, what do you think about the surgery? So what I'm saying is, I'm trying to figure out how much to say in the last minute here. They say they don't want to do the AFib surgery because of his age, and I said, well, they usually like to do surgery on everyone. I just said, our AFib book, Radio Show Archives, gives lots of information, but, with a severely regurgitating valve, I personally think it's important to look into surgery. You can do both, and I've said that before, and sort of speeding through the end of this. But if someone is offering you surgery and, you're symptomatic, you either just give yourself a couple of months to do the alternatives and know that you're building yourself up and making yourself stronger in case you want to go for surgery. So I'll get back to you, Ginny, on this with the words for this gentleman, and I think we're pretty much done.
Okay, excellent. Well, we've had another great radio show. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Bob, for your valuable contribution as usual. And thanks, everybody, listeners and callers alike. We'll be back again next week with more great information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginny.
Thanks, Ginny. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bill. Great show. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.